Got an offer at TikTok. Yeah, I got an interview at Facebook. I had an interview at Netflix.
Oh, that's fire.
I was actually really sad after I did the onsite. And then I also got an offer for an iOS engineer role at Snapchat. Compensation is insane.
Yeah.
Like, people were flying on private jets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I truthfully, in my bones, believed I didn't get it. I had a lot of other interviews. I negotiated a total compensation of $1 a year.
What's up, man?
How we doing, brother?
So those are great companies. Those are like the top tech companies, the FANG companies. Let's see how he got the $363,000 a year job of software engineer at Snapchat. It looks like this is going to be a great video, and I love this channel. So let's watch.
Good to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Omayo Adebanjo. I am also a content creator. I go by Bro Who Codes on all platforms, basically, so look me up.
Check it out.
Currently, I'm a software engineer at Snap. I just got a job. I'll be moving to New York. I'll be close to Numan.
Where'd you go to school? You graduated, you worked somewhere.
Yeah.
What happened, and then what you were up to in the middle until you have a new job?
Firstly, I went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. Loved it. Right after college, or I guess like during senior year, I got an offer to, I didn't get a return offer from my internship, which is really depressing because I was one of the only people that didn't get a return offer. So imagine that, like all your other friends, and they know about it. It's just a whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
But after I didn't get
usually internships are the best way to land a job at not just at a tech company, but at any company. Because if you do well in an internship, it is very likely that they are going to send you an offer afterwards. And just like he said, all of his friends received an offer, and he was the only one that didn't get one. So that's sad, but at the same time, just look at what he accomplished. $363,000 a year job. So that's impressive. So don't let something bad happening in your life define you.
the return offer, I had to interview again, and then eventually I got an interview at Facebook for an iOS position as a new grad. I was there for 2.5 years, and then the layoffs happened, which was just absolutely devastating for me. Really, on paper, nothing was terrible, right? I still saved a lot of money, but this is, like when you have your dream job and you like worked at this place with all your friends and stuff like that, you sort of build your life around it. And so after,
Yes, the good thing about tech companies is that they usually pay you very well. So if you have been working at one for quite a while, just like me and these guys, you get to have some savings if you were smart with your money and didn't have like a lot of debt. So on paper, it is not that bad, but at the same time, when you work at your dream job and you get fired because of something random that happens, such as the layoffs after the pandemic, that is still sad. When you get fired from your job, it's like you lose a part of yourself. So don't think that just because someone earns a lot of money, they won't care if they get fired.
I'd say about a couple months, like I started making a lot more content, so I started focusing on that.
Reasonable follow-up would be, you lost this job, you thought it was your dream job, you're kind of lost, you started content, you've been doing content, it's been going well.
Yeah.
What made you want to go back?
I still definitely love coding, for sure. And I do like iOS programming, for sure. Like my skill set is already built towards that. That's sort of like the boring answer, I guess. And I'd say just more on like a personal level, I'd say that I had a huge chip on my shoulder a little bit. I'd say that makes me want to reach for higher heights and like get more responsibility working at whatever company I'm working at. And yeah, I'd say those are just a couple things that made me go back.
Cool, okay, so switching gears a little bit, just get the timeline correct. When did you start looking for a job? How long did it take? And let's start with that, like just give a broad timeline.
Technically, I got laid off January 13th of 2023.
Okay.
And so from that period to now that I've landed this, my new job, the first 3 months, 4 months, I wasn't really recruiting at all. I had some interviews that were lined up that were really good that I was like, okay, I'll rally for it. But I really wasn't like trying to do any prep at all.
Yeah.
Early in 2023, I was doing a lot of content, so I was focusing on that.
Yeah.
Those are the first months of 2023.
Yeah.
Then I started interviewing later in 2023, and then now we get to the beginning of 2024.
Yeah.
And still interviewing, and then now.
Yeah, as I have always said, if you get fired from your job, just take some time for yourself. I know that everyone's circumstances are different. Maybe you have a family or people that depend on you and you need to try to find a job right away. But if you can, just try to take some time to heal, to do something different, because losing your job is a very traumatizing experience. So he took like a couple of months of not doing anything like related to job hunting, so that's great.
Now I got a job, so I'd say in total maybe like 8 months of like just actual like been interviewing.
I'm sure public companies.
And just take a look at how long it took him to get a new job. He looks like an extremely smart guy. He has a job at a top tech company, and it took him 8 months to land the dream job. So it's not a matter of if you are going to get the dream job. It is a matter of when. Just persevere.
Private companies, everyone's a little bit different, but what did the interview process look like? Like for L4 positioning, how many interviews did you have?
Usually like 4 to 5 interviews.
Okay.
Which is absolutely grueling. Like it's just so menacing having to sit there for like 5 hours in one day or over 2 days. I'd say that's usually the process at most interviews. It'll be like a balance of like domain specific coding, lead code. If you're like above new grad, then it'll be like system design.
Did you have to do any with iOS too? Systems?
Yeah, there's for iOS, there's like iOS specific system
design.
I
didn't even know that. Okay.
Yeah, it is a very the interview process for software engineering roles are it is very tough. I can't tell you guys how difficult it is to land a job, because you have to go through so many different stages. Like he mentioned, there is like lead code questions, like programming questions for data structures, algorithms. Then there is system design, where they tell you to you need to design the database for an Instagram-like application, something like that. So it is very difficult. Then you need to pass an interview with the hiring manager. Then you have interviews on site. It is a very tough process.
Yeah, I didn't know that either before I started interviewing. So
yeah, okay, got it. How many offers did you end up getting, or how many on-sites and then offers?
Yeah. So I'd say over my entire process, I had about 4 to 5 on-sites.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all at, I don't know if I can like say names.
Yeah, if you're comfortable saying
that. Yeah, like Google, Uber, TikTok, Snapchat. I was debating whether I should mention it, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, I'd say like 4 to 5 on-sites. So I got an offer at TikTok for an iOS engineer role. And then I also got an offer for an iOS engineer role at Snapchat. It only amounts to maybe like a handful of offers. So
yeah,
you really got to be persistent.
For sure. And if you're comfortable sharing, what do the offers look like? What the negotiation process? Where did you end up now?
Yeah, for sure. I've decided with Snapchat, they do them a little differently, the packages. So it doesn't really, just overall, I'd say that partially you have salary, and then the other part you have equity or like RSUs, like restricted stock units. I negotiated a total compensation of $363,000.
Yes, usually when people tell you about the compensation at a tech company, like in this case, $368,000 a year, it's not all in cash or in yearly salary. They usually give you stock as well, and that stock is usually like divided amongst different years. For example, you can only get 10% of your stock the first year, then you can another 30% the second year, then another 20% the third year. They do this because they want you to stay longer at a job, and they don't want people to just start a new job, get a ton of stock in a company, cash out, get the money, and then get a new job and do the same thing. So they divide that stock. They divide that stock in different years. So it is interesting how these things work. And yes, there's also bonuses like relocation bonuses, dental plans, stuff like that. So it is very important that you consider all of these points, because an offer for a job might look better because one has a higher salary, but the stock can be much more important than the other benefits.
$1,000 a year.
Damn.
Yeah, and that's like partially stock, partially salary. And then for TikTok, they were gonna offer me around like 300K, and they would do like 200 of that being salary,
Much
and
less
then the
stock.
rest would be RSUs.
If you're a developer like me, you've definitely used a JetBrains IDE at least once in your life.
So
I
this is
definitely
an app.
have.
I'm gonna skip
RubyMine
it because I'm not being sponsored by them. Let's
description. And you're currently in San Francisco. You're moving to New York.
Yeah,
And so Snap,
correct.
the offer will be in person in New York?
Yeah, it'll be in person in New York, 4 days a week. Honestly, I'm stoked to go into the office. I've been sitting in my room for literally 17 months, and I want to talk to people. I want to engage. I think that's also going to help with my career.
Yeah.
And being in a new city, just kind of exploring and meeting new people. I'm
Yeah.
definitely excited for that.
We hear about, you had this on-site, you had that system design, but was there any you walked out and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that was so hard, or oh my God, I crushed that, or like a question you've never seen before, you're like, that was really cool. Like, what was it like?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially because I have no idea about iOS.
Yeah, no, I have a ton of those experiences. Even with Snap, like I finished the last interview, and you know how when you finish an interview and it really just sets in that like, oh wait, I got that wrong, or I could have done that better.
Yeah.
And, like, wait, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And, like I just said the wrong answer,
Yeah.
even though I knew the right answer. I just didn't say the right thing. It's
Sure.
like that's kind of what happened with Snap, and I was actually really sad after I did the onsite, because like I knew everything that they asked, but
Yeah.
I
But you
the
didn't say
execution
it.
could have been better, and I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't get it. Like I literally didn't think I got it.
Yeah.
Like I truthfully in my bones believe that.
Yes, that happens all the time. You finish a coding interview, and then you start thinking stuff like, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I do this? I knew the answer, but I didn't say it. Sometimes it's because of the nerves. Maybe you didn't. You had a lot of pressure on you because you are being interviewed by a great engineer. There are a lot of things that can happen in an interview, and that if you fail, it doesn't mean that you suck. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with you.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was very surprising to hear that from the recruiter, that especially for the leveling that I got, because I was able to up level as well. So yeah, I'd say that was an experience with Snap. I had a lot of other interviews like that really didn't go anywhere. Like unfortunately, like I had an interview at Netflix.
Oh,
like
that's fire.
Yeah, Netflix is like they're just known for having like some of the best engineering. Teams. I haven't worked there, but that's just what I've heard. And also the compensation is insane.
Yeah.
Yes, Netflix is like one of the top tech companies amongst top tech companies. I allegedly, because I have never worked there, but allegedly they pay very big salaries, and they have such great bonuses and compensations. And it is said that people just sometimes just go there and they exploit you. They like take everything they can from you. They make you work at many hours, but it is worth it because they give you a ton of money. So it is said that some people, the plan of some people, some engineers, is that they go to Netflix, they work very hard for 10 years, they save a ton of money, and then they just go do something else with their lives. So yes, Netflix is legendary in that sense.
People were flying on private jets and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, so anyway, I had their interview process is obviously like pretty eclectic. And anyway, I had a recruiter with the hiring manager first, like before I did anything.
Okay.
So I was quite intimidating. I was also a lot dumber, and I didn't really know too much about specifics and like the details of iOS programming.
Yeah.
So like I had a conversation with the hiring manager, and like looking back, I'm like I could have been so much better.
Did he grill you on like iOS, like deep level?
Yeah. No, well, she really like didn't grill me at all. Like she really, I think she like was purposely vague.
Okay.
Because like positioned the conversation points in a way that made it seem like the answer could be simple.
Yeah.
But it was more so testing my understanding of. So like one of the questions
Sneaky.
is, yeah, exactly. It's like she's like, well, what do you think about Objective-C versus Swift? Like, what do you think? And it's like, there's also like a ton of details you can go into, but anyway, I didn't do that. So
Yeah. When I was interviewing in 2020, I feel
Yeah.
like it was like leak code only. Maybe like Stripe was the one company that did like debugging and like practical.
Yeah, they like
But this
that.
last cycle, it was a little bit of leak code, but a lot of it was like different. It was still leak code, but it wasn't like number of islands. It was like design tic-tac-toe.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like imagine playing Connect 4, but actually instead of putting it from the top, you're putting it from the bottom. Like how would you design the class, or like design a jigsaw puzzle? It was like it was kind of like fun.
Yeah.
And in a way harder because I couldn't just memorize DFS. I had to like really think like what is a jigsaw puzzle? Did you
Yeah.
have any of those cool interviews?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do know that for system design,
Yeah.
I have gotten some interesting system design questions
Okay.
that it really forces you to not like memorize questions or even like have a standard approach.
Yeah.
It really tests how well you can work in an ambiguous situation and,
Sure.
and try to like break it apart into actionable steps. I had to add one of those at for TikTok. I
Okay.
can't really go into the details
No, yeah, of course.
the question.
Sure.
Underneath, like everything works kind of how you would expect it to, but the way it's presented to you, I think really lets the interviewer test
Yeah.
whether the interviewee can discern problems within a that are presented in an interesting way.
Yeah.
I know that's really vague, but
No, that makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. Okay, last question I have for you is, it took 17 months, maybe 8 of it you were actually doing it.
Yeah.
Now you know a lot. You've gone through it.
Yeah.
Like you're better at interviewing now than you were 8 months ago, and you kind of know how to do stuff.
Right.
If you could give your past self some
Good
advice,
advice.
like what would you do differently? How would you think about it if this happened to you again?
I would say that no matter what you're doing in life, you have to work hard, but you also have to work smart. And you have to work backwards from what you want. Hard work is mostly done to make yourself feel better. So that if you don't get the thing you want, you're like, okay, at least I worked hard.
Right.
Me personally, I don't really care about working hard. I care about actually getting what I want and working the least. I say whatever you're doing, you need to figure out what are the levers that actually give you results. Like for me in the interview process, like in the beginning, I didn't really know anything. And so now I know a lot about interviewing. And the way that I got there was really looking at what was being tested, looking at my failures from my interviews and like dissecting them to the core.
Yeah.
To figure out what are these interviewers asking for, because that's what I want. If I pass the interview, then I can get the job.
Right.
Like, it's not about doing 200 leak code questions. It's
Sure.
not about doing 200 or whatever. It's about actually getting to the core of what is being tested and figuring out where's the gap.
Of
Like,
course.
what is the gap between me acing this and being the best interviewee ever and me not knowing anything.
Sure.
And I think you need to constantly be optimizing that. And I think the reason why most people lose at whatever they're doing in life is because you can easily waste a ton of time and energy if you're not working smart and figuring out what are the levers that are actually going to get me the win.
Yeah. There's actually this very interesting theory someone explained to me where it's like,
Yes, what he said is so true. It doesn't matter if you work hard if you don't get things done. Imagine that you have two engineers, one, and you give both of them the same task. One accomplishes the task in a day, and he does it perfectly. He didn't have to work that hard. He just worked smart because maybe he figured out the answer much faster because he knew how to Google, how to look for answers, how to do everything, right? And at the same time, you have another engineer that it takes him a week to accomplish the very same task. And he tells you, well, but I worked hard. I worked until, I don't know, 2 a.m. trying to solve this thing. And I worked during my lunch breaks and I woke up early. But I worked hard, but it took me a very long time. So it doesn't matter if you worked hard, if you don't accomplish things. You need to work smart, just like he said.
Little differences now, maybe like with compound interest, everything, like with scale. In 50 years, maybe it's like, let's say $1 million in difference. Like, let's say you're making like 50 grand now, you compound everything. It's like $1 million in difference has not fundamentally changed your life over all those years. Like, you're going to retire about the same. You live in the same state. You're not going to fly private. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the only thing that, like, it's like stepwise increases. Like 0 to 100K, big difference. 100 to $1 million, big difference.
Big difference.
Million to probably 10 million, you're about the same. 10 to 50, and then 50 to like $1 billion.
Yeah.
Anything in the middle, like if you're like 50 and you want 70, like in 20, like it's gonna be the same life. You know what I mean?
Same life.
And I only recently understood that. Like new grad me was like, I want everything, negotiate the highest. And actually when I took my last offer, I actually didn't take the most money. I started thinking about like, does RTO matter to me? Like, does one feed me? Like, how much vacation can I take? Can I work remotely? Can I just go to India for a month? Like, there's other things that mattered more than money. And it was like, do I really want 30K more to not be able to do these other things? And it's like, I realized that 30K wasn't as important as those things. Like, if I put a dollar value to those, that was worth like 70 grand.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like, I'd never thought about it like that. It sounds so dumb now. It's like an older person watching this probably like, dude, of course, that's wisdom. But before I was like, 30K more, take it. Like, why not? Take it, invest it. 401k match. And it's like all this stuff matters to a level.
You need to focus on like what makes you engaged, happy on a daily basis, because you only have so much time to live, you know?
Yeah.
And like if you're always optimizing for stupid things like money, and money's not bad, but that's not the end all be all, you know?
Yeah.
Optimize for life, you know?
I agree.
Yeah.
Dude, those are all the questions I had. Thanks so much. Dude, you're a legend. Congrats on all the offers.
Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
He got a great job. This was an amazing interview. I loved the content. I didn't know about this guy. He looks very smart. Apparently, he's a content creator. So I will look for his channel and take a look, maybe react to him. But everything he said is true, and everything that the other guy said. Sorry if I don't use names. I'm very bad at remembering names, and I usually can't pronounce them very well when they are, well, hard names. So, but everything that he said is true. If you sometimes that as a slight increase in pay is not worth if you're going to sacrifice other things like vacation, time with your family. So there are things in life that are more important than money. Of course, money matters because money allows you to have freedom and have time to do other things, but it's not the end goal. Money by itself is worthless. It doesn't matter if you have $10 million in your bank if you are working non-stop from Monday to Sunday and from 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. So at that point, what's the point of earning so much money, right? At least that's how I see things. That's it for this video. I hope you guys liked it, and see you in the next one.